For those who weren't here when we started, my name is Shellie Reid. I am the manager of the Legal Services National Technology Assistance Project. And today we are here to have an afternoon of AI. And we're going to have a little bit of fun now with NotebookLM. Um, One great thing about NotebookLM is that great things are still happening. In fact, yesterday Google released the mobile app version, so you can now use NotebookLM right on your phone. The only thing that you can't do, at least that I've discovered since yesterday, is that you cannot use the Discover Sources web search feature that we'll discuss a little bit later in the presentation. But as with any generative AI tool, you need to be aware of the terms of service and how your data will be used. Google states that it does not use your data to train its models, but certain personal accounts may be subject to human review and data analysis for troubleshooting or abuse detection. So keep that in mind if you choose to use NotebookLM. Just understand what you're agreeing to and how you're going to use your data, and also think about privacy concerns. Um, I should note that Workspace and Workspace for Educator users have a more robust privacy protection, and their data is also not being reviewed by humans or used to train the models. So let's move in. What can NotebookLM do? NotebookLM can be used to create a study guide, a briefing document, a list of frequently asked questions, a timeline, and most fun, a podcast style audio overview. And that's what I use NotebookLM the most for. One great thing is after just having a session on translation, NotebookLM does have the option to have 50 languages. But again, if for personal use, that may be um, good enough. But for legal use, definitely want to have some human review. Google suggests that notebooks can be customized to work as a virtual research assistant, a personal tutor, a shared knowledge base or help center, and so much more. And so I think once you start playing with NotebookLM, you'll find what works for you. One great feature is the ability to create a timeline. And this is one of my, after audio overviews, a timeline is one of my favorite tools. With the timeline, you can curate a list of events and a cast of characters from the materials that you have given Notebook to use. And think about how this could be helpful for a complex case and how handy it would be to be able to create a timeline of the case. So here on the screen, you're seeing a historical timeline of ferrets and their roles. And one thing you need to know about me is while I was in law school, I had a blog called Ferreting Out Justice. And it was always great fun for me to hear a professor use the term ferret in class or to find the word ferret in a casebook. So you can see here, based on the materials that I provided to NotebookLM, it created a timeline of ferrets across history, and it went on way more than what you see here. And it also created a cast of characters. So just a fun example of one way to use this feature. Google has made it very easy to add and remove sources from your notebook, and you can add up to 300 sources per notebook. So as you can imagine, this can be quite complex. You can Notebook will accept the file format of PDF, text, Markdown, audio, and lots more things. For non-legal topics, I love to use the Discover button to do an internet search to find resources, and I'll be demoing that in a few moments. The basic steps to create a notebook are to load some sources and let NotebookLM do its thing. That's really all you have to do. Once your sources are loaded, NotebookLM generates a summary and names the notebook, and you can start creating notes or other output. It's a really simple tool to use, and it's a lot of fun. So on your screen, you're seeing the NotebookLM dashboard, and this is for my notebook called the Comprehensive Ferret Guide. As you can see, the screen is divided into three sections: sources on the left, Chat in the middle, and Studio on the right. Sources may be a bit obvious, but basically it contains all of the materials that you have added for the notebook to use for answers. The chat section functions in the same way as any other generative AI chat, and you can see the overarching summary of the materials that are listed in the notebook. Here, you can type in questions and get a response, just as you would do with any other large language model. The studio on the right is where the saved output is stored. It is also where you have the controls for generating things like the study guide or FAQ. And the notes area is where you're going to find all of those things later if you want to come back to them. I really like the clean and simple display. And the three dot kebab menus that they use are really very user friendly and make it easy to navigate the space. But please note that red box at the bottom of the screen. Google so helpfully reminds us that Notebook LM can be inaccurate and to double check its responses. As with any generative AI, you must check for hallucinations. So often we hear about hallucinated cases, but I just want to point out that hallucinations can be other things as well. I have had generative AI hallucinate the title of a book, a website, ingredients in a recipe, and so much more. So you always want to review any output for mistakes. Before we move on, I want to point out a unique feature that's available in the chat section. Just below the notebook summary, there are some buttons. The Save to Note button allows you to save that summary as a note in the notebook. But scroll down a little bit more and you come across something called mind map. And as much as I love the audio overviews, I really like the mind maps a whole lot too. So this is an example of a mind map. And mind maps are considered visual summaries of your sources. And they have collapsing menus, and you can go and they really can be quite expansive. But the fun thing is they show the main topics and then they show the related ideas in kind of a branching diagram. As someone who studied in law school by putting things in Excel, mind maps are a really great way for me to visually see what's going on with the information. So now I want to give you an example of an audio overview. So I loaded into NotebookLM the ABA's Formal Opinion 512 on generative AI. So we're just going to listen to a little snippet, and then I will drop the link in the chat if you want to listen to the whole thing. So let me get the system so it will share the sound. All right. And Jesse, if you don't hear sound in just a moment, please let me know so I don't.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Glad to be back.
I can hear it.
Today we're diving into something pretty big, generative AI, and what it means for legal ethics.
Yeah, especially for all the attorneys out there.
We've got the ABA Formal Opinion 512 to guide us through this, fresh off the press, just from July.
So new.
It's interesting because this opinion doesn't just focus on the tech itself.
Right.
It really dives into how AI is going to impact the core ethical duties of a lawyer.
Absolutely. Your competence, confidentiality, even how you communicate with your clients, it's all changing.
Okay, let's start unpacking this.
So as you heard, these audio overviews are in the form of a podcast, and they can be really interesting, and the voice is really, really
Yeah.
Right
improved.
from the get-go,
Whoops.
the opinion tackles competence.
And, the tech person has tech issues, what else? All right. So now it's time to get a bit hands-on, and I need some suggestions for a notebook that we want to create. So if anybody has some ideas, please throw them in the chat, and we'll pick one of them and create a notebook live. Oh, everybody's shy today. No ideas? Well, while we're looking for ideas, let me get over to our screen. Oh, it looks like we're starting to get a few good ideas. So let me pull those back up. All right. So this is supposed to be fun. So I'm going to let everyone's going to have the opportunity to participate and create their own notebook. So let's do, for just the purpose of our demonstration, let's do sloth bears. So here we're on notebooklm.google, and we're going to click on Try NotebookLM. It's free, so why not? And then once we're in, we're going to create new. And here I don't have any materials to upload. So I'm going to take advantage of the Discover Sources feature. I just click on that and it asks me, what am I interested in? I'm going to tell it sloth bears. And NotebookLM is going to go out and search the internet for sources. And here it's come up with 10 sources on sloth bears. And we're just going to use them all. And we're going to click import. And you can see there on your screen, it is pulling all of those sources into the notebook. Here in chat, it has created the summary and it will eventually, okay, we've got a name now about sloth bears. And now I'm going to go over to Studio and I am going to, under Deep Dive Conversation, click on Generate. And so this does take usually about 3 or 4 minutes for 10 sources. So that is as hard as it is to create that audio overview podcast from the materials that you provide or find from the internet. So this is your opportunity to um, pull out your phone, download the app, or pull up a browser if you can do it, and maybe you can use the browser on your phone if you don't want to get the app. But I strongly suggest you just give it a try because it can be really helpful. Um, and the more you use it, the more things that you will find that you're able to do with it. So there's a note in the chat, so I'm going to take a look at that. We're still generating, but I would love to hear some of the things that you're searching for and what notebooks that you're creating. And we have until, whoops, that agenda is not right. We have until our next, we have about 10 minutes before our next speaker. So if you want to take a break, you're welcome to do so. Meanwhile, we're going to continue on showing the generation of the audio overview, or you can use the next 10 minutes to start working on your own notebook. Oh, and thank you, Margaret. I appreciate that. So Margaret is interested in learning how people are using NotebookLM in their legal research and their legal work. um, so the question in the chat is, can NotebookLM hallucinate or discover sources that it finds? I think that would be a little harder because it's actually pulling websites in, but I would not say that it's impossible, but it would be very easy to check that those sources are real sources. Um, Great use case, Jessica. Jessica's been experimenting on using NotebookLM to create podcasts for their reports, and definitely the inaccuracies that need editing. Great use case, Vincent. Great suggestion, Lisa, on using NotebookLM for conference materials. Ah, And we have an audio overview. So I will just do a quick um, share, and then I will also share it on the event page later on so that you can actually I'm going to go ahead and just wait and share it on the event page because we are in break time. Great ideas in the chat, everyone. So please continue adding those, share what you created with your notebook. And again, we're going to take a short break and come back at 2:30.